All right. So, Shahina, to do this chapter, okay, you need to have a ruler when you're doing this. If possible, draw all your things. I mean, the figures, pictures, rule using a ruler. Okay, because after all, also we will learn how to draw some geometric shapes. It's like maybe it is easy, but still, if you draw with a ruler, okay, it looks nice. When your work looks nice, it gives you some kind of motivation that you want to do more, you want to learn more. Okay, that's the important thing. And sometimes, without using a ruler, if you try to draw, for example, let's say a rectangle or a triangle, it may not look nice. Okay, as you know, when you do something like you do something in the best way, right, in the perfect way, also it gives us some kind of motivation and satisfaction. Okay, because you're doing something and the result is good, right? And that's why, as you see here, it's about perimeter and area of simple geometrical figures, and sometimes you may have to draw. Okay, so when you're drawing, when you have to draw, you need to use a ruler and try to draw nicely. Okay, so first, what we are going to learn here is just we will learn how to find the perimeter. That is the length of the boundary of a figure, like for example, triangle, right? If you have a piece of land that is in triangular shape, for example, you are going to enclose this with a kind of fence, right? The question comes, okay, how many meters of fence should we buy so that that will be enough to close our land, right? And also the area, for example, let's say you're going to lay a kind of tile on your flat floor, for example, and when you go to the bazaar or market, you see that the dimension of one flat is, it's rectangular. Let's say this 20 centimeter by 30 centimeter. Now the question comes, okay, how many tiles should I buy to cover my bedroom bedroom floor, for example? To do this one, you need to measure your flat's floor's area. Then actually you need to divide this by the area of one tile. Then we can get the number of tiles, right? How many tiles do we need to cover your floor? This kind of questions, okay? So first, let's just talk about this perimeter and area, the definition. All right, and after that, we will focus on solving problems. After all, okay, we need to have some theory, but in math, when we learn math well, when we do different problems, okay? So when we say perimeter, we know that it's the length of the boundary of a closed figure. It must be closed. When we say closed, again, when we talk about simple geometric shapes, the first thing comes to our mind is, what is it? Triangle, right? And second thing is maybe rectangle. Third thing is maybe square. And fourth thing may be trapezium or parallelogram or circle, right? These are very basic geometric shapes, okay? Or rhombus, for example, or kites, for example, right? And this, we are going to talk about this kind of figures. And if you want to know the length of this boundary, that means that we are talking about the perimeter of that figure, okay? And how about the area? Area is a part of the plane enclosed by a simple closed figure. It's called a plane region. Now that means that, for example, the surface of your table, the wall, for example, the lake, for example, yeah, these are all examples for plane figures. When we just say plane, for example, is a kind of two-dimensional space, right? Here we have two-dimensional space. Maybe it's a rectangle. Maybe you are talking about a square. All the things I can draw on the screen, right? So my computer screen is a plane for me, okay? And I can draw our triangle here, all right? So we are talking about this kind of flat figures. These are flat, it's not curved, right? And flat figures, okay, we are going to talk about how much space they are covering. That gives us the idea of area, okay? All right, so let's just do revision very quickly. These things, Shahina, you must have learned in primary school, right? The first one is, what is it? Square. What is a square? Square is a spatial quadrilateral whose all sides are equal and the interior angles, these are interior angles. 1, 2, 3, 4. All interior angles are 90 degrees. Actually, we have two conditions. For a quadrilateral to be a square, number one, all sides must be equal. Number two, all interior angles, this angle, this angle, this angle, this angle, they must be 90 degrees. Otherwise, it cannot be a square. For example, let's say I can give you rhombus. This one is rhombus. What is it? All sides are equal. This side equals to this side, equal to this side, equal to this side. It's not a square. Why? Because these interior angles are not equal. This angle and this angle, they are different. Okay? For a square, all angles must be equal. Is square a rhombus? Yes, it's also rhombus, but rhombus is not a square. Okay, it may not be a square. And how about the area? How do you find the area of the square? And the primers that you learn, it's just simply this base, right? This x times height, that's x. So that's equal to x squared, right? And how about the perimeter? So the length of the boundary, that is x plus x plus x plus x. So that's equal to 4x, right? For example, if I ask you, let's say we are given a square, assume that this is a square, and each side is 5, this thing is 5, and this one is 5, and this side is 5. If I ask, what is the area? It is 5 centimeters, 5 centimeters, 5 centimeters, 5 centimeters. That is just equal to 5 squared. What is 5 squared? 5 times 5, 25 centimeters squared, right? And how about the perimeter? Because area unit is centimeters squared, okay? And what we mean by the area, that means that if you are given a small square, okay, and this side, actually all sides are equal, and one side equals 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, and this one is 1 centimeter. And what is the area of the square? The area is 1 centimeter squared, okay? And that is the basic measurements that we use to measure the area. And asking what does the area of the square means, with how many such squares I can cover this square. It means this. So this 25 centimeters squared means if I have this kind of square, a tiny square, with 25 such tiny squares, I can cover this surface. It means this. And how about the perimeter? Again, if you have a piece of land that is in square shape, right? And you are going to enclose this with fence, for example, the question is, how many meters of fence is needed to enclose this area? So that means I need to just add, right? X plus X plus X plus X, that's equal to 4X. So here our X is 5, 4 times 5, that's equal to 20 centimeters or 20 meters. So we need 20 meters of fence to enclose this figure. All right, another one, actually, also you have learned this before, that's a rectangle, right? It's a, again, special quadrilateral whose opposite sides are equal and all interior angles are 90 degrees. We call this a rectangle. And how to find the area of a rectangle? That's just we multiply this length by breadth. That is breadth, right? Breadth or width, actually similar things. Breadth, okay? So if you multiply length by breadth, it gives us the area of this rectangle. So the area of the rectangle is, what is it? Length times breadth. And how about the perimeter? Perimeter is L plus breadth plus breadth. That means that 2B plus 2L. Or even if you just take this 2 out, then we will have this formula, 2 times length plus breadth, in a more simpler form. And how about the triangle? And triangle is also a flat shape, right? And a closed flat shape, which has 3 sides. We call this triangle. So that side is A, this side is C, this side is B. And that is a height from B to the side AC. So we call this base. This is a base. This one is height or altitude. So what is the area of the triangle? 1 over 2 times B times H. That is base times height over 2. Okay. Why? Because it is half of a rectangle. If we just join 2 rectangles, actually gives us a triangle. That's why it is divided by half. And how about the perimeter? That is A plus B plus C. Okay. And another important one, the fundamental shape is, very basic geometry shape is, what is it? Circle, that we use a lot in real life, right? If you want to have a ring, for example, it is circular shape. And the wheels of the cars, they are circular shape. Wheels of the bicycles, they are circular shape. And cylinders, and a circular shape. It has a lot of application. Very simple figure, but it has a lot of application. So, and that is the center of the circle. All these points are equidistant, have the same distance from this point. And the distance from this center to any point on the circle, we call this radius, right? And two radii, this radius together, it is diameter. Because diameter, what is diameter? Diameter is 2 radii. Okay. Anyway, how do you find the area of the circle? Area of the circle is pi r squared. Right? From here, the area is equal to pi r squared. And if this pi, what is pi? It is very beautiful number, and it is constant number. And this pi is approximately equal to, in fraction, 22/7. Or that is approximately equal to 3.142. Right? It's a constant number. And this r is the radius of the circle. This is how we find the area of a circle. And how about the circumference? Circumference is 2 pi r. That is the perimeter, but for circle, we don't call this perimeter. We call this circumference. So circumference, that is perimeter of the circle, is 2 pi r. Okay, that is what you know. You are supposed to know by this time. Okay, now we are going to make use of these things to solve our question. Shahina, can you read it?
My sister's crying, but
Or sister's crying. It's fine, no problem.
You want to get...
Why is she crying?
I have no idea.
Maybe she's bored.
Yeah, probably. A metric system of units was first introduced in the 19th century. It is essentially a simple system based on the decimal system. As such, it allows easy conversion from one unit to another. The metric system of units involves measurements of length, area, mass, capacity, and volume. All of these units are related through the decimal notation.
Okay, Shahina, this is what we are going to talk about. Okay, these things, this chapter 4 and chapter 5, now you are going to see these words very frequently. The length, especially when we are finding the perimeter. The second one is area, we mean the surface area. And mass of a solid or object. And capacity, we have a kind of container, right? How much can it hold if you're talking about the liquids and water or oil. And volume, okay? So all these units are related through the decimal notation. So let's talk about a little bit about these things, okay? Now, especially this chapter is about length and area because it's about perimeter and area. So we need these two things. And next chapter, chapter 5, we will talk about mass, capacity, volume, and area. Okay. So let's start with what is simple one? Square centimeter. Okay. We often use the following metric units to measure area, right? We actually use this again to compare areas, right? For example, you have a bedroom, your friend has a bedroom. How do you compare whose bedroom is bigger, right? To compare these two bedrooms, we need to know it is area or floor area, right? Or if you talk about two different lakes, one lake in the United States and we have another lake in Uzbekistan, how do you compare which lake is bigger, right? And how do you compare this? Actually, we compare by their surface area, right? And you have one study table in your room. Also, your brother has another study table in his room, right? Whose table is bigger? So we need to measure the surface area. Then we can compare these two things, okay? So to do this one, we use some different measurements, all right? The first one is square centimeter. What is square centimeter? So if you're given a square, all right, one side is 1 centimeter and this side is 1 centimeter. What is the area of the square? So the area of the square is defined as as 1 centimeter squared. Why? Because 1 centimeter, because that is length times width times 1 centimeter equals, what is 1 times 1? It is 1. Centimeter times centimeter, that is centimeter squared or square centimeter. Okay, so how about the second one? Square millimeter. Square millimeter. Milli means, as you know, it is, here we have 1 meter out of 1,000. Milli means 1,000ths, right? So if you divide something by 1,000, we get millimeter. Because, for example, we know that 1 meter is equal to how many centimeters? 100, right? 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. And 1 centimeter is how many millimeters? That is 100 times 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. So that's equal to 10 times 100. That's equal to 1,000 millimeters. Now that means that here on the left hand side we have 1 meter. Here we have 1,000 millimeter. So 1 meter is equal to 1,000 millimeter, right? So that means that if you want to change meter into millimeter, I need to multiply by 1,000. If you want to change or convert millimeter into meter, we need to divide by 1,000. So here, millimeter means 1 square millimeter. Here we have 1 meter. Okay, this one is 1 meter. That is divided by, what is it? 1,000. Or here we have 1 centimeter. Using this one, 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters, right? So here we have 1 centimeter, so that's equal to 10 millimeters. 1 centimeter, it is 10 millimeters. As you see here, 1 centimeter, that is 10 millimeters. 1 centimeter, 10 millimeters. Maybe we are talking about very small area. That's why we have to use millimeters squared, okay? For example, if you talk about what is the area of your eyes, for example, right? Small thing. Now, what is the area of, for example, your computer or the screen camera, for example? As you see here in front of your PC, there's a small camera, circular one, right? We do not measure this using square centimeter or square meter. We measure this using square millimeter, very tiny things, okay? So 1 square millimeter means here we have 1 centimeter divided by 10, 1 centimeter divided by 10. So we are talking about 1 small square here. See, 1 small one. That is 1 square millimeter, the small thing, one of them. And how about another one? Square meter. Okay, the square meter is used to measure the area of large surfaces such as the floor area of a flat, basketball field, or football field, or what is it, the yard of your house, for example. Okay, these things. And what we mean by square meter, again, we are given a square, right? And this is a square, and all sides are equal, and one side is equal to 1 meter, and one side is equal to 1 meter. So what is the area of the square then? Okay, and that is defined as 1 meter squared, because 1 meter times 1 meter is equal to 1 meter squared. All right, so if I'm asking about what is the surface area of your flat or floor, flat floor, for example, that means that how many with such squares I can cover your floor. It means this, okay? And next one is hectare. Okay, hectare. Actually, it's the abbreviated form is HA. We read it as hectare, right? The hectare is used to measure large land areas such as farms, housing estates, etc. For example, if people, let's say they grow some vegetables or potatoes or something, so they need a piece of land, right? Usually, that's peasants, like they use a huge land. How they measure this for agriculture, actually, for agriculture areas, we use hectare. And what is hectare? Hectare is, again, 1 hectare means it is a square field or area. Okay, we know that all sides are equal because it's a square. So this one side is 100 meters and this side is 100 meters. So this area, okay, and we call this a square that's covering 100 meter by 100 meter area. So that is equal to 1 hectare. So what is 1 hectare then? 1 hectare is equal to 100 meter times 100 meter. And what is 100 times 100, Shahina? It is 10,000, right? 10,000. And what is meter times meter? That is meter squared, right? And we should know, remember that in math, A something times something. In compact notation, we just use this notation, A squared, right? So that is meter times meter, meter squared. So 1 hectare is equal to 10,000 meters squared or square meters, okay? And how about square kilometer? Square kilometer, we use this to measure the area of very large surfaces, such as the area of a country, right? The area of a lake, the area of a sea, right? The area of a town, for example. To measure big land area, we use kilometer squared or square kilometer. And what we mean by 1 square kilometer, again, we have a kind of huge land, okay, of square shape. Okay, this side, like all sides are equal, right? And that's a square. So one side of the square is 1 kilometer, and this side is 1 kilometer. And we know that 1 kilometer means 1,000 meters, right? So this area, how do you find the area? That is length times width. So that is equal to, the area is equal to 1 kilometer times 1 kilometer equals 1 times 1, it is 1. Kilometer times kilometer, that is kilometers squared or square kilometer. Okay?
Okay.
Now, let's solve a few questions now. Question A. Let me change. Express 975 centimeters squared in meters squared. Question A. Let me just do in this way and draw a line. So that means that 975 centimeters squared is how many square meters? That's the question. To understand this, again, Shahina, immediately change this into algebraic equation. Okay, that means that assume that 975 centimeter squared or square centimeters equals, let's say, x meters squared or square meters. So the question is now what is x, right? If 975 centimeters squared equals x meters squared, what must be x? The question is the same, exactly the same. Okay, but first I convert this into algebraic equation. Now I'm going to solve this. To do this one, I need to cancel out this square centimeter with this, right? But to make, actually, we need to make this the same. If you remember, now 1 meter squared. What is 1 meter squared? 1 meter squared is 1 meter times 1 meter, right? Equals, what is 1 meter? 1 meter is 100 centimeters. And what is 1 meter? It is 100 centimeters. So which is equal to 100 times 100, 10,000 centimeter times centimeter, that is centimeter squared or square centimeter. So now instead of this x meters, what's going on here? This x meter squared is the same thing as x times 1 meter squared, something like this, equals now x. What is 1 square meter? From here, instead of 1 meter square, I can use this one. So that's equal to times 10,000 centimeters squared. So now if I simplify this, instead of this x meters squared, I will substitute this thing. On the left hand side, we have 975 square centimeters equals, on the right hand side, what is x times 10,000? That is 10,000 x. And here we have centimeters squared. So now do we have the same things, right? So I can cancel them out. because they are exactly the same. Just divide both sides by 1 centimeter squared, 1 centimeter squared, they're gone. So what do we have here? Now just algebraic equation, 975 equals 10,000 x. So what is x here? I should divide both sides by 10,000. That is 975 over 10,000, which is equal to 0.975. That is a value of x. So now I can write the answer. So 975 centimeters squared is, or just equal to 0.975 square meters. Okay?
Okay. Let's see.
So now, Shahina, let's solve question B. Question B. In similar way, now if you get the idea, so we need to find this 2.65 square kilometers equals how many meters squared? That is 2.65 kilometer squared equals how many? Let's say it is equal to y square meters. So the question is, what is y? As you see here we have kilometers squared, meters squared. They are not the same. So I have to change either meter into kilometer or kilometer into meter. So which one is bigger? Kilometer. Let me just change this into meter. So we know that 1 kilometer squared means 1 kilometer, right, times 1 kilometer. And simple actually is 1 kilometer squared. What is 1 kilometer? That is 1,000 meter. And times this one is 1,000 meter, which is equal to, what is 1,000 times 1,000? That is 1 million. And how about meter times meter? That is meter squared. So instead of this 1 kilometer, I can write here this one. So 2.65 kilometers squared means 2.65 times 1 kilometer squared. 2.65 times, what is 1 kilometer squared? From here, that's equal to 1 million meters squared. That is 1 million square meters. Now, if I simplify the numerical part, 2.65 times 1 million, so that is 265, 2 zeros gone. So here we have 4 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4. On the right-hand side, we have m squared. So instead of this 2.65 kilometers squared, I should substitute this thing, right? So now here we have 265, 1, 2, 3, 4, and here we have meters or square meters. On the right-hand side, we have y meters squared, right? These are just units, so we can cancel them out. That means that here, what is y? Y equals 265, actually 2,650,000 meter. Actually, that's the value of y. That means that 2.65 kilometers squared is equal to 2,650,000 square meters. Okay?
I get it.
Let's stop also see Shahina. After that, you'll have break. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Question C. In question C, 5 millimeter squared in centimeter squared. So 5 millimeter squared equals how many centimeters squared? Let's say it is equal to t centimeters squared, right? So here we have millimeter and centimeter. Let's change the centimeter into millimeter. We know that 1 centimeter squared, I can also write it like 1 centimeter squared. Okay, so what is 1 centimeter? We know that 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters, right? Using this, as here we are just converting units from one unit to another one. That is decimal notation. That's why it is pretty easy. So here 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeter. Here still I have square. Now this square, what is 10 squared? 10 times 10, it is 100. What is millimeter times millimeter? That is millimeter squared. So now instead of this centimeter, I can write this thing. So here on the left-hand side, we have 5 millimeter squared or square millimeters. And here we have T times, what is 1 centimeter squared? That's equal to 100 millimeter squared, right? So as you see here, both we can cancel each other, millimeter, millimeter squared. So what we have here, 100 T. It's just equation. In the previous chapter, we learned how to solve this kind of equations. On the left-hand side, we have 5. So what is T? T equals 5 over 100, or which is equal to 0.05. So now the answer is 5 square millimeters equals 0.05 centimeters squared. Okay, Shahina.
Okay.
Shahina, have some rest, okay? After 10 minutes, we will continue.
Okay.